Okay, everybody, we're going to look at a couple more things on transform. So this is transform part two. I like to keep them small segments so it's not overwhelming. So second part is we're going to come back to it. We're going to go Control T, transform, or you don't even have to do that if you don't want to. So I can just go enter. We go to edit. We go to transform again, and let's look way down here. Whoop. We have rotate 180 clockwise or counterclockwise. Simple. If you just click it, boom, it rotates. It's pretty much done. Clockwise is just 90 degrees. Real simple. But let's look at the other ones too that are there. Flip horizontally and flip vertically. So if I flip vertically, little different than 180. Recognize that, okay? And of course, horizontally is just it reflected it one way. So then the torch goes here and it comes over here. So let's take a look at that one too. Oh, that's free transform. And there's horizontally. That's simple. So let's go back here and let's look at the last one, and it's going to be called warp, okay? The warp has a lot of different things. I'm going to make it very simple and basic. So again, I'm going to come here and I'm going to click warp. We're going to notice that there's three things underneath there that is that are gray, but once I click warp, I get this. Some people do not actually get the actual hashtag in there, and it's okay. But let's take a look at what we have here. It'll show up right when you click one of these handles or one of these spots here. So here we have is a dot. It's going to look familiar if you looked at my Illustrator things. It's like one of the points I can grab. It's an anchor, and notice I can bring it in. Notice I'm actually warping and bending the actual image. We also have, you saw, what we call handles. These are the smaller dots. Notice I'm bending the line, and it bends with it. And mind you, I can pull this one up here like this, and we can do all kinds of different things. Yes, there are handles here also. And notice how I'm trying to bend her, and she looks like she's kind of blowing in the wind. It's kind of neat. I'm going to pull that one out. So she's kind of leaning to the left. That's how we do that, but that's not it. Notice where these intersections are. I can grab here, and I can move those also. And I can move them all different directions. Yes, they do kind of move in it. And what's happening is it looks like I'm kind of warping her around something, Lady Liberty. And that's what warp is like. So let's go back and go to Control Z. Let's come back a little bit more, go back to what we normally had. And let's look at a couple of the other things. Now that I have this here, I can go up to Edit, come down here where it says Transform, and notice these are available. Warp horizontal, split the warp horizontally or vertically, makes sense, or crosswise. I like to use crosswise, but you could use it for either way. I'm just going to do crosswise. The other two have kind of the same effects. So I do crosswise. Notice I'm going to have these, as you can see, the pieces right there. Wherever I click, and I like to click in the middle. That's where I like to do it because it's pretty much centered. Notice I have a whole bunch more now. I've taken my 9 pieces and made them now into 36. So it's a little bit more. You're going to notice down here also, I have more handles and an actual anchor point. So I can move it this way and that way. Notice you kind of see it. Now, when I do that, notice she kind of looks like she's moving, and she's bending around something. And you can see by the actual blue lines. The blue lines are telling me that there's a bulge of some sort, or there's a bend. And like I say, I was telling this to my students, it sounds kind of bad, but like say you have a picture of an arm, and you want to see what your tattoo is going to look like. You want to do it in Photoshop. Design this cool tattoo, put on a picture of arm, and see what it looks like. You can actually warp it around your arm and things like that. Something that actually has mass, you can warp something two-dimensional around it, and that's what the warp is for. Yes, I can still use the handles. I can turn it, and notice I'm kind of twisting this one. And maybe let's take this one over here. Let's move this direction. And notice we're just kind of having fun with what we got going here. Okay. I could turn this here. And we are just going to do a Salvador Dali on this, on Lady Liberty. I'm so sorry. And we're just going to kind of have her kind of bended backwards and doing something like this. So that's how you use the warp tool. Of course, Control Z makes everything go backwards, but I'm going to use this to do one more thing. We're going to talk about backgrounds. Once I'm done, hit enter, and it's good to go. We're going to talk about backgrounds. Notice in my layers, we have our background. It's got a lock on it. You definitely want to unlock it first. Now it says layer 0. The place where I like to find my backgrounds, and it's very simple, is going to be like this little circle on the bottom of my layers, which looks like a Pokeball. I call it a Pokeball. Yes, Pokemon, you got to catch them all. So when I click on it, we're going to look at just the top three: solid, gradient, and pattern. The first one's going to be solid. When I click it, I'm able to put a color. It's black. Don't want black. We can change it. Let's do it to I like a psychedelic purple, something like this. Yeah, it looks good. And what I say okay. Notice it says fill color on my layers. The bottom layer is still there. And what you're going to see is there's a color here in the layers. If I want to change it, double click here, and I'm able to change it to whatever I need to change it. But notice on the right hand side, there's a mask. It is a true mask, but it's all white, so that's why it's showing everything. Remember what I talked about with the brushes? Let's go to our brushes. We say that black hides, white exposes. It's all white, so let's go and make it black. Oh, it already is. I have to go in and click on the actual mask itself. I've got to highlight it and notice my brush works. And then I could do something like this. We're talking about Salvador Dali. Let's come back here and let's rotate this around. And notice I'm having fun. Now maybe this is where I would want to make a hardness of 100. And let's try that one more time. Heck yeah. It's a little laggy, so I'm getting some bumps, but we could do something like that. And that's how it is. And notice over on the right hand side on the layers, you can actually see the black I've painted on the mask itself. That's solid colors. So let's get rid of that. Pop that down into the garbage can. And let's go back where we went with our Pokeball. Click here and let's look at gradients. There we go. It starts, of course, with black and white, and as you can see, the gradients there. The gradient does several different things, and I will go through those first. As it says style. You have style, you have radial, or we can actually make that from going from black to white, from white to black, just by hitting the reverse button here. Boom. Cool. Love that. We also have what we call the angled, where it starts here black, kind of rotates around here, goes to a gray and into a white. Yes, we could reverse it. And I can rotate where it starts too. Very, very cool. After angle, we're going to come to reflect. And what we're going to do is you're going to see white to black to white. It's reflecting each other. Because notice black was on the bottom, white was on the top. It puts the black in the middle now, and it works well. And last but not least is going to be your diamond. You can see the diamond here real easy. I can, of course, reverse it. Let's make this more of a 90 degrees so it looks a little bit better. Type in a 90. And let's go with the reverse. And look at how cool that is. Yes, I can rotate that diamond as you saw. You can have some good fun with it for sure. Okay, and it's good. If you want to do the scaling, you can mess with the scaling too. Of course, you just see it gets bigger or smaller. And it works really well there. And that works with all of those also. Let's talk about now the coolest thing. Let's go 100. Let's talk about actually the color itself. I'm just going to go with a radial right now. Okay. Now, you'll see it says gradient right here. We're going to click down this drop down, and you're going to see that there's a bunch of different folders. Each one, of course, has blues, purples, pinks. Let's go to basics, and let's click the little arrow right there. And there's our basic one. Just black and white, black and gray, and I'm fine with that. This one doesn't have a background. There's all kinds of different things here. Those are really basic. Let's come here and look at some of these other colors. We have things like incandescent, cloud, grays, greens. Let's look at an orange. Let's click on orange and notice we have a whole bunch. We're going to come with this one right here, and now things are starting to look up. Once I like it, just kind of click over here, and let's make this a little bit bigger. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger, and it looks really kind of cool. I'm going to have some fun doing all this. Actually, let's put that around and do it the opposite way. Very cool. And again, I say, okay, look at the gradient. It shows up just like in the colors in my layers. I can double click it, brings up the gradient again, and the same thing. And of course, yes, the same thing with the actual brush again. If I want to get on that mask, and I like this, I like the soft, guys. I'm just a soft person. Come here. Got something going pretty cool like that. Okay. Last but not least, let's take a look at that last one. It's called patterns. Pokemon, gotta catch them all. Pattern. And here we go. You're going to see there's a whole bunch of different patterns here. A little different. As you can see, we got things like angles. So I'm going to angle it. We're going to play the angle, but we're going to come here. We're going to look at what we have, okay, first, okay? Yes, and I'm sorry I didn't show it, but it does angle as such, okay? So let's come here, and we got trees. Notice that's the first one, and things change. You'll see the pattern in the background here, and it actually changes, and it looks pretty cool, okay? Kind of like that one. That's pretty neat. We've got grasses, and there's not many. And later on, I'll show you guys how to actually make your own patterns, which is pretty cool. And then, of course, we got some water. Let's bring that down. I just got to scroll down a little bit. And, of course, we got to sign kind of cool water like that. Let's keep the water on here because Lady Lib really likes to be surrounded by water. And let's take a look at what we can do. Yes, we can do the things where we can rotate it. And I can come here. You'll see it rotate. But then here's a cool thing. It's called scaling. And we definitely have the original scale. I can make it bigger, the regular scaling, excuse me. As you can see, it works and it makes it bigger. But if I go smaller, it starts tiling it over and over again. So you can kind of see like this is farther away compared to me being real close to it. And I think that's kind of a really, really cool thing. Once you like it, it says okay. And again, there's that mask. Let's have some fun. Let's do what we need to do. And there's everything like that. So as we went over transform part 2, and we went over backgrounds. Hopefully this helps you guys and you really truly enjoy what you're doing.